Hello, this is a voice check.
Okay. Okay. Voice check, everybody. We're not professionals. Hello, welcome to Degenerate Talk, Episode 2. As you can notice, I got a banner. Well, I made one myself. I made this myself. It took like 10 minutes because we're not professionals here. You can tell I made this 5 minutes before I started recording. And I know a lot of you are going to ask, why is there like a void? Why is this void here? Well, for those of you who are going to ask, uh, I don't know. Like, this was supposed to be like, in all seriousness, this was supposed to be a one-time thing. But people liked it so much that I was like, hey, you know what? We'll give this another go. We'll give it like 4 episodes. So I'm gonna probably do this weekly. But yeah, I left the void in here on purpose, so in case I want to add more stuff, like obviously I gotta add the YouTube right here. And I gotta add, I don't know what I'm gonna add there, and I don't know what I'm gonna add here. But for now, this works. It has a lot of imperfections, but it'll evolve as time goes on. So now that we're out of that, yeah, Degenerate Talk, Episode 2, Life in the IGCC. I was struggling to figure out what topic I wanted to come up with, but I got basically a whole bunch of guys on Instagram were like, hey, talk about the Instagram comic community. And I was like, okay. I mean, I've been in it for like a year now, as of like May 26th. So, I guess I can give my own perspective on things. Obviously it's going to be my opinion. But yeah, okay. Uh, so I first entered the world of the IGCC, or the Instagram comic community, uh, a year, as we just said. A lot of rambling here, folks. And the first thing I notice is that there are a lot of pages that do a lot of the same thing, and it's not bad. And look, having the same thing isn't bad. Obviously, you gotta have variety in your things, but for the most part here, I want to say like 70%, maybe 60% of Instagram comic accounts are either fact pages or they're panel pages. And fact pages are kind of like. Fact pages are. You either love them. Well, it's not really if you love them. You really either tolerate them or you hate them. And let me tell you why. For the most part, Instagram fact pages are basically created by people who, A, are legitimately read comics, love them so much that they want to spread their knowledge to people that maybe are unaware of certain things. And you know what? That's fine. That's cool. I vibe with that. That's cool. But a lot of the time, Instagram fact accounts are made by people who probably don't read a lot of comics and get their stuff off like Wikipedia. Like they'll like put a fact or some shit. I should probably have gotten like a source or an example to show you, but I couldn't find because I can't log into Instagram on the web page for some reason because the site's bugged. But uh, an example would be like, oh, Spider-Man, blah blah blah, or like. Oh, Spider-Man once created a webbing made out of horse semen that was able to stick 10 times better than blah blah. But they'll never really show you like they'll never show you the actual source of him actually doing that. They'll like just tell you it, and you have to take their word for it. And the majority of people that follow Instagram fact accounts are people that don't read comics. People that watch. It's for people that watch like the MCU and want to be knowledgeable about the source material without actually wanting to read it. Because why would you read a fucking book, right? In 2020? Fucking dumb shit, right? But yeah, they'll do that thing where they'll tell you something, not give you the fact, and that really sucks because Instagram fact pages actually can be good, and there actually are good Instagram fact pages. One of them I actually know, a guy named Challenger of the Fantastic on Instagram. He actually posts legitimately good facts, who that have the source in it, the page well, not the page that happened, the issue that it happened in, the panels themselves, and that's all you really need to do. Just be honest about things. But for the most part, a lot of Instagram fact pages know that their followers are people that don't fucking read comics. You know, we don't read comics, so how are they actually gonna know that this is true? They're gonna have to take our word for it, right? And next thing you know, you have naive Instagram comic follower number 1675 who goes to an actual comic page and is like, "Oh, but didn't this actually happen?" And then they're all like, "What the fuck are you talking about? What?" Well, no, it's just I follow this one Instagram account that's posted this fact about no. That's not right at all, man. You know, stuff like that. I would go further, but that's pretty much it for Instagram fact pages. It's either like they're an honest person and they post everything right, or they're a fucking degenerate. Like me. I'm not an Instagram fact page, though. And then the other one I just mentioned is the Instagram panel pages. Basically, there's these Instagram accounts that basically screenshot panels and pages from a comic they read digitally or pirated for the most part, because let's be real here. I don't want to throw a lot of you guys under the bus, but a lot of you guys in the Instagram comic community pirate your comics. You guys pirate your comics a lot. And you know what? For the most part, it's like, I don't care. I mean, I buy my comics legally, but because a lot of you guys, all you do is post panels of a book that came out like 20 years ago, or like 19 years ago, or whatever. Like something that came out like 2007. And you know what? The sales for that book have dropped. No one's buying those books anymore. So you know what? I'm fine with that. Go. It's when you post like, and obviously there's going to be accounts. There are a lot of non-U.S. That's actually something fascinating. There are a lot of non-U.S. accounts, like people that read comics that are outside of the U.S., which is actually kind of cool that there are a lot of you out there. Like, I thought it was mostly regulated here in the U.S., but there are guys in France, there are guys in Greece. Like, it was crazy. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that you guys. I knew you guys got comics, but I didn't know you guys got comics as frequently as we did. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I don't get the distribution over in Europe, but yeah, it's actually really crazy. There are a lot of foreign comic readers on Instagram, and that's really cool to know how much reach these books actually have. But yeah, for the most part, I mentioned the foreign pages because a lot of you guys, despite actually reading it, don't get comics in some areas. Like there's this one. Sorry, that's my phone. There's this one page. I think her name's Duchess of Comics, and she can't get comics in Greece. I mean, I think she can, but like she's so, I guess the place where she lives is so isolated that she has to pirate them in order to enjoy them. Which, you know what, I understand completely. Maybe one day I'll do a video on why comic distribution outside the U.S. is so poorly, and how if we maybe expanded that even better, that we can probably boost sales like immensely. But for now, we're doing this. And but yeah, panel pages are basically you either. I guess my problem with Instagram page with pages like that is that it kind of denies buying books. Like, why would I buy this book if X Instagram panel page is gonna buy it? I mean, is gonna buy it or pirate it for me and put it on Instagram for me to read. You know, it's kind of like, but at the same time, it's kind of like this understanding of like, I get why you're doing this because you can't actually buy it, or it's hard to buy legally. So I get it sometimes, you know, because a lot of Instagram panel pages are kind of foreign accounts or people that don't have access to comics, which I get. And I guess for the fan base, I don't really. The fan base is kind of supportive. Like, not really. You never see a person in the comments going like, "Oh my God, why did you post this? People are not going to buy the book." It's usually like people that don't read comics but want to get into it, but want some more context or deeper details, but don't know where to start. So like, I don't know, like say I don't read comics, right? Let's say that. I follow an Instagram fact page, not a fact page, a panel page, and they post this book that I have no idea existed that I want to know more of because now I'm interested. They don't really post the full comic. I mean, some of them do, but some of them just post like 2 or 4 pages with a little bit of context to it, which that's fine. There are a lot of pages. There are a lot of comic pages or panel pages that do actually not a lot, but like there are a few of them that post the full comic on there. And it's like, I don't know, man. You know, Um, but yeah, uh, I'm kind of in the middle when it comes to panel pages. I follow some, mostly because there are a lot of them out there, you know, and a lot of them are actually cool people that I've come to talk to here and there. So, you know what? Yeah. And then there are people like me who are the lesser part of the community who are essay slash blogish type of nature where we talk about comics or aspects of the comic industry that we find fascinating. Like, I don't know, sometimes I talk about. I know I'm pretty tame on video because I don't want to freak anybody out, but go read some of my posts and you'll find out my true nature. Because maybe if I when we get deeper into this, I'll probably show my true colors. But a lot of us, what we do is basically what this comic, not really what this comic, not it's not a summary of what the comic is. It's more like what we think this comic is about, or what this comic does for us, or what this comic is important, why this is important, blah blah blah. People like that, and I feel like for the most part, we are kind of well. I'm not gonna say me, but we're kind of the researchers or scientists, like comic scientists that study comics. I'm doing air quotes right now, but we're kind of just those kind of people that examine or analyze the comics that we like, and we like to talk about them in the form of like like maybe like a 5 slide, couple paragraphs long thing about like, oh, this comic is cool because I don't know, blah 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 blah. Or like this comic initiative, like DC Rebirth, was cool because of this, or the New 52 sucked because of this, or all different Marvel was ass cheeks because of this. That whole thing. Like it's like I guess the equivalent of this is something in real life would be like a guy who goes on porn websites. It's like those guys on porn. Like if you go to Pornhub and you go to the comment section and they're like talking in detail about why she do like the thing that girl did in that part of the video was so fucking hot because blah. Like we're like that. We're like that. We're basically that guy. And I guess that's kind of it. There are not a lot of. I mean, there are edited pages, like that basically do what we're doing, right? Like what I did here, like do like a thing with a character, and they'll put them on top of something, like they'll put a background behind them or some shit. Those are the cool. I like those pages, and they do some cool stuff. But yeah, uh, I guess for one, I guess I would be beside myself if I didn't talk about the whole nature. Like, how are we in general? The Instagram community at least, we're very stubborn in a lot of ways. Like, we all hold our opinions to our hearts because you'll often see a lot of comic pages arguing with each other, not as enemies, but kind of like in idealistic, or it's kind of like we like to debate each other a lot because we like to hold our opinions very strongly to our sleeve because a lot of us have been reading comics for years and we've kind of grown this nature of wanting things or seeing things as certain ways. So we kind of like when another comic account was like, no, Batman, blah blah blah, but I'm Batman, blah blah blah. You can't say that. That's wrong. I don't believe you. Like, uh, I think I don't remember what page said it. or what page? I think like 2 days ago or a day ago, one page. I think it was Comic Palace or, that posted something about politics in comics or something like that. And one guy was like, "Oh, I'm not a big fan of politics and comics." And then they had this whole thing, blah blah. I got kind of aggressive, but it's like it's things like that where like one person is like blah blah and one person is blah blah. Like, and I get it because I'm like that. I don't I don't go forth and defend it most of the time because sometimes you got to learn. Uh, you got to learn to respect what other person is thinking. Like I'm not gonna argue with you if you think if you think Peter Parker's a simp for Mary Jane. I'm not gonna argue with you, but it's like whatever. And another thing I wanted to talk about is there are a lot of actually one thing I really want to talk about is the memes. Like, oh my god, guys, I didn't know Instagram comic accounts could be as memey as I thought they could be. Like, there are a lot of good comic page memes. There are a lot of good comic meme pages out there, and I wish I could name some off the top. I know one is Comic Dude, like comic underscore dude. He's a really cool guy. Um, he has really good memes that aren't really like they're not really like memes or like parodies or like like these underwhelmed like they're not like secretly deep and blah like it's just like dude he's just like making characters talk shit to each other doing like memes about characters or books and you know what or he does memes about certain comic pages or some shit like things like that like that's one thing I was very surprised about when I entered the community like, oh yeah, you guys are kind of funny. I didn't know that. But yeah, another thing I wanted to talk about is the fans of these pages. It's a very weird. Like I said before, a lot of pages have followers that don't read comics, which is very odd to me. I figured that would have been other comic readers. Like I think my followers are mostly comic readers, but for a lot like for fact pages or for panel pages and some essays and a lot of edit pages, their followers don't read a lot of comics or don't read them at all, which was very weird for me to find out because uh, because I didn't know comics had the ability to pique people's interest like that, where they don't really look at the material, but they don't go deeper into the material, but they like window shop basically. It's like window shopping for comic books. Like they like to look through the glass. They don't actually like to come in, which is very odd to me because I would have figured that the community would have followers that did read comics, which they do, but like for the most part, it's like their followers are like 15 to 18-year olds or 20 years old or 20-year olds that are like the MCU and just want to see panels of Captain America and Iron Man and go like, "Oh, what's the context behind this?" I remember one account posted panels of I don't remember this was like forever ago. One account posted panels and this Hispanic guy was like, I think it was a Captain. I think it was back when Captain America came back from the dead or something like that. Like during Secret Invasion or something. Uh, I think one page posted that or something Captain America and Iron Man related, and it was like this Hispanic guy who didn't read comics was like, uh, when did this happen? Because in the MCU, Captain America's an old man and Iron Man's dead. And the whole like, and I was like, I didn't comment or reply to them, but it was like, okay, like I know why you're here. Or one time, this panel page had a comment. So I guess for a lot of you, we all know that a lot of comics are separated by years. So like, there's Batman 1947, and then we got Batman 2016. A lot of that confuses the fuck out of people that don't read comics. Because one time I saw a panel page post something from Action Comics, and as we all know, Action Comics has been the same series since like 1930 fucking whatever. And one guy with like a fucking Squidward AVI or a Squidward profile pic was like, "Wow, this art was really cool, but this isn't from 1938." And I was like, "Well, But yeah, I guess that really shows how naive a lot of non-comic readers are, and how ununderstanding, how much they don't really understand the ins and outs of things. Like, you know how, like, when people were starting when a lot of non-comic readers were shit talking the New Warriors and were like, oh, this is why comics are dying. This is why all comics are dying right here. And I was like, no, this is not at all. The guy that made the New Warriors bullshit is barely a comic writer. He is more notable. He did like two miniseries within the past like 3 years, but he is more notable for writing skits for the Stephen Colbert Show. That's it. Like, he is a skit writer for a left wing or liberal esque TV reality show on that comes on at like 8 p.m. or some shit. He's barely a comic writer. He does not represent the whole industry as a whole, because I can guarantee you, if they got an actual comic writer to write the New Warriors or draw the New Warriors, they would have came out a million times different. But they didn't. And I guess another thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the comic community is how I guess that's really how much of a community it actually is. Like, a lot of comic accounts know each other. Like, I'll follow a comic account, and then like five other accounts that I follow that person, or a comic account will follow me, and I'll look at their profile, and then 10 comic accounts that follow me, and I follow them, follow that guy, and I was like, holy shit! It's like we all know each other. That's kind of crazy. Like, I kind of figured that if it was going to be a community, I guess for my instances, like outside of the comic community, uh, it's like how things are kind of like separated. Like, you don't like if you go to the video game community, it's like some people don't talk to each other because they know blah blah blah. Like, X fans suck because blah blah blah, and X fans blah blah blah. But like, for the most part, like, if you're a Nightwing fan, like a lot of people are, if you're a Wally West fan, you fuck with each other, you vibe with each other because yeah, that's cool. Hey, both our characters are getting fucked in the ass like every 2 seconds. That's cool. I can relate to you, you know? Or, hey, Donna Troy, as a Donna Troy fan, I know that Donna Troy has been single handedly getting bulldozed and drilled from behind for like the past, I don't know even fucking when. But you, as a Nightwing fan, have also felt the same pain for like 2 years. I get you. I really get you. And it's things like that. How, even though for a lot of us our opinions are different, we always have the ability to come together and uh, basically, it's like, back in World War One, when we just got done killing a father. Oh man, that German guy was a dad. We killed him, but it's Christmas time, so now we can hang. It's like that. Like, that thing you learned back in like World War One, where uh, the two, for like when Christmas or holidays were happening, they would stop fighting for a second and just talk with each other or like hang out with each other. Like, both sides would do that. It's kind of like that. Like, sometimes we'll argue, sometimes we'll debate each other, but at the end of the day, we're just people behind phones and computers, and we should just learn to respect each other. And that's kind of the thing for the most part with a lot of the pages. Let's see what else. What else? Let's see. I mean, I don't really know what else to talk about. I mean, that's kind of it, right? Like, I could talk about like, I could talk about how, for the most part, a lot of pages can be kind of negative sometimes. Like, there are a lot of pages that, like, actually, I could talk about the stereotypes of a lot of comic pages. Like, one stereotype that I like to shit talk a lot is like a lot of comic pages will leave or go on hiatus for like a year, and then they'll come back and write this like 2 slide thing. It's like, oh, it's because a lot of family stuff was happening, but you know what? I get it, but like, uh, hear me out. Like, oh, a lot of family stuff was going on, and I kind of just fell out of comics. I fell out of love with comics altogether, but I found a lot of reverence for the older stuff, like Stan Lee's original run, and it's like it's people that they quit and then leave. They quit and leave. They come back and they end up hating modern comics because they read Stan Lee's original run, or they read Jerry Conway's Spider-Man, or they read Neil Adams' Batman, or Denny O'Neil, or R.I.P. Denny O'Neil, or Denny O'Neil's stuff, and they're like, "Oh man, the new stuff sucks. I'm gonna just talk about all the old shit because And I guess for me, it's like, are you not digging deep enough to find something like for me for me if I see that, which I have in some instances, it's like I don't think you were digging deep enough to warrant you quitting. Like there are a lot of comics, even DC and Marvel, there are a lot of comics that you're probably not reading that are good, that you would like if you actually dug deeper, but you don't want to dig deeper because your favorite character's getting fucked in the ass. And that's why I don't really have a favorite character. Like actually my favorite character is actually Plastic Man, and he hasn't gotten a book in like forever. But just because if his character was doing shit in his own book, I'm not gonna be mad at the whole thing, like I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's just comics back in the day, like they had stakes, and like people died and stayed dead, and it's just like, okay, like you're talking about, for one, you're talking about an era of comics that happened like what, like 40 years ago, like when was the last time a character died, like, and not even, I'm not, and when I mean died, I mean something like a character that like was like relevant. The last relevant character that I remember dying forever was Captain Marvel. I mean, there's probably another character I'm fucking forgetting, and I'm getting yelled at right now. But it's like, for the most part, a lot of characters that died in comics are like characters that appeared like a year ago. Like I don't know, like a character that appeared like a year ago and they just used for this event and they fucking died and never came back. It's things like that. It's like, okay, but I mean I do get why. I do get why they act like I'm not gonna act like modern comics are the shit, but I'm not gonna be like I hate them. Like I do like a lot of modern comics today and current comics happening today. But I guess for me it's like keep going. Like keep reading and keep digging deeper. It's like when you go to the library at school, you walk you don't come in knowing what you're gonna get. You walk and then you walk the library, you dig out the shelves, you look at covers, you read the back of the book, and it's shit like that. Like, go dig deeper, because there's always something out there. Every comic wants to be read, no matter how shit they are, no matter how fucking terrible they can be. They can suck so much ass that every porn star is looking for tips. The book can suck so much ass that it would be its own Brazzers video. But every comic wants to be read, and every comic has a fan base. And go find it. But for the most part, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about the Instagram comic community. It's probably one of the better communities I've ever seen. I know there's a lot of stereotypes I see out there about like gatekeeping and all blah blah. None of it's true. Uh, at the end of the day, a lot of, at least on Instagram, the comic community on Instagram is probably the most accepting and not like-minded, but more individualist, and but yet grouped together community I've ever seen. Like, sure, we have infighting here and there. For the most part, we have each other's backs, and that's all I really have to say. That'll be the end of episode 2 of Degenerate Talk. I'm Comics or Not, the stupidest Instagram account on the site. Thank you for watching.